Eritrea, a nation so tightly controlled that its government answers to no one, not even to its own people.
It's best not to take your camera out here. People live without internet, water, and electricity. A fridge really is a luxury. What's this? Oh, so you turn on the battery and the lights come on. The conditions here are hard because there's dust, dirt, it smells like paint, nothing is ventilated. As you can see, they work in the dark. Military service can last a lifetime, even for women, at least as far as I know. The service can last forever. Guys, I've arrived in Eritrea, the country that is at the bottom of almost every ranking in the world. Although, as you understand, it's not very easy to film here. People get quite nervous when they see the camera. I don't mean ordinary people, but the authorities, police, and other important guys. Because again, they're afraid that someone will say something that's too much. The only thing that makes me feel better is that all social networks are blocked here, including YouTube, so I hope the locals won't see my video and won't get too upset with me for telling you what life in Eritrea is really like. First of all, of course, I visited the capital of Eritrea, Asmara. It used to be a village, but then the Italians came in 1897 and they decided to build the capital. Here's an example of a bicycle. They don't usually lock them with a padlock. They just leave them here like that. Wow. Look at all this light. It's coming from this incredible looking lamp. And this is the central street of Asmara. The noise of the generators can be heard everywhere because there are problems with the electricity. Look at all the variety of products. There's a huge variety of products. But they tell us that you can't enter without a mask. But here you can. Cosmetics, old mailboxes. By the way, they don't work, but they keep them here to make the city look nice. The main street is very beautiful. There are spectacular palm trees. As you can see, there's not a lot of traffic. We're in the middle of the working day. There should be traffic, but there's no traffic. Half the cars are taxis. There are yellow taxis sometimes. Sometimes the buses pass by. And some people walk around. Most of the buildings here in the center are Italian. They clearly look after them well. You can see that globalization's not here yet. There are no dodgy business centers, chain restaurants, McDonald's, and the like. And this gives this city an incredible atmosphere. Here come the local fashionistas. Look at the beautiful street. The palm trees leaning over the road. There's the Church of Our Lady of the Rosary. There are taxis, people strolling by. There are some little bars and some artifacts. Just here and there. Old doors, old door handles, lamp parts. Of course, year after year, there are less and less of them. But you can still find some antique beauty here. In general, as far as the assortment is concerned, it reminds me of Cuba. There too, if one comes to a pharmacy, they will see various kinds of medicines. If someone comes to a shop of clothes, they will see there are tons of cheap Chinese stuff. And practically the same happens in Eritrea. There's some shoes on display, glasses and some dusty bags, and generally, there's no real choice. Look at this entrance. It's just like an Art Deco building. There's a marble staircase, the railings polished over the years, and they're actually railing covers. The actual railings probably have holes in them, so they put an extra layer on the top. Well, my friends, I arrived in the wonderland, where there's no internet. There's no internet at all. All social networks are blocked. The internet is terribly slow. Incredibly slow. There's no mobile network at all. Access to a cybercafe is allowed only with a passport and other documents. And it's only email that works there. An email takes 5 minutes to be sent. The internet in the hotel is super slow. So now I'll try to record a 1-minute video, and then I'll do some tests. How do I even get here? In 2016, the government forced internet cafes to keep a detailed database of their customers, including name, address, and passport number. And there's really no internet anywhere else. You come to cafes, restaurants, and there's no Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi only in the internet cafes. Again, only if you have your passport, and they watch what you're doing there. Also, there is Wi-Fi in the hotels for foreigners, with a password and everything, so you can surf the web, but the internet is so slow that you can't send anything. You can't watch videos on YouTube. There are huge problems with this, but some Eritreans take care of it themselves and install satellite internet in their homes. And I've actually been to one of those conspiracy flats. They have internet, but they have no electricity. They turn on the router and there's a hidden network, so you can't openly see it. And for the first time in my life, I never knew that you could do that. Maybe I was a fool, but it turned out that you can actually do it. Well, you enter the network name, and if it exists, you can connect to it and use the internet. That's how some guys do it, but it costs a fortune. Those who want to be connected spend a lot of money to get online. And anyway, it's still extremely slow. And as you can understand, it's all because they use a satellite internet. Guys, as you can see, there are some serious problems with the internet here. I had to go online on my computer to work on other videos, so I visited one of the cybercafes in Eritrea. And for that, I had to go to a different city, Massawa. So this is what Internet Cafe looks like. People sit on sofas and try to download something on their mobile phones. The internet is shared through this big accumulator. Here's the router. Something's connected to it, but the internet here is so slow that it didn't connect for me. And here's a guy peeping in. This is what the Internet Cafe looks like. It's on the first floor of some dusty old house. A big building where there are no computers, but there's a router and a lot of cables to charge from an accumulator. The problem is that 1 hour of internet costs you $1, so you can buy an hour of internet for $1, but it doesn't work. I'm trying to connect to a VPN, trying some other stuff. In the past 20 minutes, I've tried to update Messenger, open a web page, even the simplest one, but there's just no connection. All the guys sitting there are using some special app that seems to work, as it was explained to me. But none of the standard web browsers, none of the messengers we are used to work here. It's the only place in Massawa City where there's internet, because in the hotels, there's no connection, as there isn't anywhere else. Not at all. And I don't understand it. There's simply no internet within a radius of 100 kilometers. If you need to send something, you can only resort to pigeon post or do it by phone. When planning a trip to Eritrea, you expect to see poor architecture like in North Korea, or huts made of whatever there was, as is often in the case in the poorest countries in Africa. But now I'm going to surprise you. The capital of the country, Asmara, is called the Pearl of the African Architecture. The city center was actually included in the UNESCO Heritage List. It was the Italians who left this heritage. You can find monuments of different architectural style, Art Deco, Modernism, Futurism, Rationalism, Colonial style, and even Cubism. All of them withstood decades of military conflicts. According to one version, Italian architects experimented a lot and indulged in something that was difficult to build in Europe. Many buildings may seem extraordinary even now, but in the early 20th century they provoked discontent among the local public. Like, for example, this one behind me, the Pearl of Local Architecture. It is a futuristic petrol station and Fiat car workshop. Look how beautiful it is. The building is shaped like an airplane. It consists of a center tower and 15-meter cantilevered wings. At the time, the authorities said that each wing must be supported by columns, that it can't just be left like that without any support. According to local legend, the architect, Giuseppe Pittazzi, climbed up to the roof and threatened to commit suicide if the wings fell down due to lack of support. After demolishing the foundations, the wings stayed in place, and they've been standing there for more than 70 years. During Mussolini's rule, a large number of rationalist public buildings were built in Asmara. These were cinemas, post office, pharmacies, schools, and residential buildings. This is how the idea that architecture should first and foremost be practical. In many places here, 100-year-old interiors have been well preserved. There is still antique furniture in the pharmacies. There are these Italian cash registers too. Asmara is still called Little Rome. It really reminds you more of an Italian city rather than an African one. And as for coming to walk around and enjoying Asmara, it is probably one of the most interesting African cities. Besides, don't forget that it's probably the safest African city. Nobody here will attack you, nobody here will take your electronic devices or anything. You don't need to lock your bicycle or lock your car. Even in Europe, this is still very rare now. So welcome to Eritrea. It has its advantages, although these advantages have little to do with today. The only thing you can thank the current local government for is that they do not destroy all its beauty.
Сегодняшним здесь правителям это то, что они не трогают красоту.
This is what the streets and center of Eritrea look like. What's so interesting about them? Well, again, it's how well preserved the interiors are. This is to say, it's not only the front of the buildings that is well looked after, but also the interiors. Here you can enter a bar or a cafe. Here I think that this bar counter is definitely antique. Just look at the cash counter too. Because nowadays they probably don't manufacture ones like these anymore. What a luxury coffee shop. Espresso and cappuccino? Yes, it's an old Italian coffee shop. There are bars and restaurants everywhere. And that's what the district and villas and mansions look like. The old Italian mansions. Look how many plants there are. Something is blooming all the time. There are yellow, purple, blue, white, red flowers. All these bushes have been combined so that there is something blooming all the time, in any season. There are traffic lights in the city, but at the moment they're not working. And from how dusty they are, I'm guessing that they have not been checked and repaired for a long time. However, all this beauty was not accessible to Eritreans at once. The Italians built all these buildings not out of generosity to Eritrea, but for themselves. After Asmara was built, all the local inhabitants stayed to live in the villages. The colonizers built cinemas, mansions, hotels, and restaurants for themselves. The local inhabitants were forbidden to appear in the central streets. They were forbidden to enter cafes and restaurants, nor could they visit hospitals, cinemas, and bars for the whites. But the Italians left and the luxury architecture stayed. The interesting thing is that it's actually very busy in Asmara, despite the fact that they have no electricity, no connection, or anything. Still, you come to an Italian restaurant and it's full of people, and they're not foreigners, not diplomats, but ordinary people. Our guide said it's the best restaurant in town, and in this best restaurant in town, it seems that everybody's local here. Everybody eats pizza, drinks wine, and rests. None of them are stuck on their phones because there's no internet. People are talking to each other. It's all nice and fun. The only problem is that there's no outside lighting, so it's dark. You can't see anything. But you can see that in local restaurants, bars, and cafes, life is in full swing. And these are actually old Italian cafes and bars. You can see here that there are people sitting inside eating, and it all looks really nice from an interior design point of view. There are relatively few cars considering that we are in the very city center. There's no usual African hustle and bustle, with lots of cars, traffic jams, tuk-tuks and motorbikes. Here there are very few cars. The roads are all clear. Some of you may have a question. Why is it that in the 21st century in Eritrea there are no basic amenities? No internet, no electricity, no water? There are several reasons for that, and one of them is the long war for independence. I am now in the graveyard of military equipment. It is difficult to say what the cemetery looks like now. It is partly a landfill, partly a memorial. There are lots of tanks, trucks, and cars that were brought here from all over the country during the hostilities. Some families even built homes here from shipping containers. The enduring wars left an indelible mark on Eritrea, and this mountain of crumbling metal reminds the inhabitants of the bloodshed the country went through on its way to independence. There's some interesting stuff here, like this ladder from an airplane resting in this dump. So what do we have here? It's a Volga. I can't believe it. Isn't it a Volga? The Fiat bus with a rotten wooden floor and a rusty roof. Sometime before this bus was headed into the bright future, and now it's in the landfill in the middle of Asmara, and it's ending its life rotting and falling apart. Here you can see how many pieces of military equipment and containers there are. By the way, people used to live in these containers. This is what the landfill looks like. It stretches all the way to the horizon. Everything is full of military equipment. The most interesting thing is that people live on the outskirts of this landfill. They adapted old cars, containers, and live there. There are aircraft engines, tank engines, and everything. Caterpillar chains. There's so much different scrap metal. I'm not sure if it's all fine in terms of safety rules, but there are some interesting artifacts that can be found. In this spectacular place, there are bullets of a large caliber machine gun. There seems to be a spider on them. They say you can throw them into the fire, but it seems to me that you don't need to. In addition to a lot of military equipment, they bring here their old rusty cars. And the rest of the junk, that's because in Eritrea, there are no factories to process scrap metal. That's why there are even old planes here. Nobody needs aluminum. Even aluminum is a precious metal. Everything is just lying here, and no one needs it. It's a lot of rusty metal, just rotting in the open air. I've never seen anything like that. It seems to me that there's nothing like that in the world. What do we have here? I hope this thing doesn't collapse. There are the aircraft engines. There's more of this equipment all the way to the horizon. There's some cows and people living here. Behind all this, there are residential buildings. In addition to tanks, armored trucks, buses, among other stuff here, there are aircraft engines and the remains of aircraft fuselage. Let's try and figure out what kind of aircraft we have here. They are reactive engines. They must be MiGs. We found out that the planes are American. Well, yeah, the engines are, yes, but I doubt that they are Russian planes with American engines. Independence cost dozens of Eritrean lives. 65,000 Eritreans died in the war. Another 10,000 were disabled. Women played a big role in this war. They fully participated in the hostilities. They fought in the front lines, worked as doctors, and repaired equipment. Women combatants made up a total of 30% of the Eritrean Liberation Front. The level of crime in Asmara is relatively low compared to other cities in Africa. The shanty towns are traditionally considered the most dangerous district in any city. But in Asmara, it's an extremely peaceful place. By the way, another highlight here is the incredibly friendly dogs in Eritrea. I haven't seen a dog bark, show its teeth, or want to eat me. They are big dogs, but they are very calm. So if you're afraid of dogs, don't worry, it'll be fine. No, don't be afraid of dogs. It's very difficult to show these incredibly beautiful and interesting shanty towns of Asmara because a lot of children come and they all want to be in the frame. But the shacks are incredibly authentic. They are located on the mud hillsides. The houses are built of stones and mud. The roof is made of metal sheets covered with stones. But the most important thing is that these shacks, it's very safe, and there are incredibly nice people. Everyone is really nice and kind. The only problem is that the children are shouting very loudly. The children are doing something strange. What is this? I think they're burning something. What are you kids doing?
Что вы делаете, дети?
And here, you can build a funeral cross. Here's an amazing place in the center of Asmara, the old metal market. In fact, it's not a market. They bring here old barrels, metal sheets, the remains of pipes, and all the rest scrap metal that can be found in the surroundings. And then it's used to make everything, from pipes and the funeral crosses to dishes, furniture, and interior projects. What an amazing place. Here are some machines. It all looks really interesting because all these workshops are built of rusty metal sheets. You can shoot a film about a terrible future of Earth here. What do we have here?
This name work is KYK company. We say it. English. Sakotundo.
You speak English?
Not more, but I
No. How old are you?
80.
80. And you?
Like me.
This guy?
This guy 21.
21. Okay, and
13.
13. And he work here.
He work here.
What do you do? What kind of work?
Carpenter. Our work is
Stoller.
Sure.
This one.
we take it out this. There.
Okay, I see.
This one and this one.
See? This is this and we work it out.
Where is the cutter?
This.
No. That's a saw. Sawmill.
The interesting thing is that in addition to adults and teenagers, you see children here. These kids are 13 years old and they're working here. And they're not just helping out, they're actually making stuff themselves. It looks like a design and technology class, only their conditions are much worse. Here as well. Well, look, obviously it's a little kid who's painting something. I don't understand how old she is. Oh, look, she's got a phone there. She's watching some cartoons and painting at the same time. The smell is very toxic here, to be fair. She's painting these things there with silver paint. She's painting, sat on the floor. I think they're dippers. Oh yes, they're dippers. Yes, a 13-year-old girl is painting the handles of these dippers in this workshop. Sure, all that looks pretty authentic, but the conditions here are hard because there's dust, dirt, it smells like paint, and it's not very ventilated at all. Also, it has metal dust because of what they're making here. She's going to show us what they're actually making here. Everyone is working in the dark, as the electricity here is not very good. Here are the ladles, which she paints the handles for, at the age of 13. This is what a primitive forge looks like. And here's another one. There's so much dust and everything else, but they don't even bring respirator masks. You feel all this dust going into your lungs. On the opposite side here, there's a cafe. Apparently, people also sleep here sometimes. Exploitation of child labor is still common in Eritrea. Children are involved in practically every activity, from fossil extraction to washing and repairing cars. There's practically no way to fight it. You can officially work from the age of 14, but as you can understand, children in Eritrea aren't officially employed. So in fact, they are not protected in any way. Worse still, in Eritrea there are cases of exploitation of children. There are children again in this other workshop. Just have a look at how many children are working here. There's another child here. It seems to me that half of those working here are children. They're not even teenagers, about 10, 13 years old. 12? Well, he doesn't look 12. He looks like he's 10. I think they say they're older because they think we're asking weird questions here. So let's say he's 12. I don't think he is, but oh well. They're making the cupboards here at 12 years old. They're painting, breathing all this toxic stuff.
Amid the crumbling beauty of Italian-era architecture, Asmara stands as a UNESCO gem, but it's frozen in time. Beneath the surface, the internet is banned, voices are silenced, and children are forced into labor. This is the reality the headlines overlook. The crisis in Africa is not confined to where the cameras point. From the chaos of Somalia to the clenched fist of Eritrea, the stories run deeper than any news cycle can capture. My friends, let's hope for a better future for both nations and for the people who endure, resist, and wait for change. If this video touched you, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button to see more of the stories the world forgets.